Good afternoon. I have spent some time trying to understand the Shola tree community in the Upper Nilgiris. And in the course of that work, sort of stumbled into this, like many other ecologists, trying to grapple with this invasive species issue and the impacts that it has had on the systems that we study. So, just to begin, when I use the term invasive alien species, I am referring to it in the sense of the IPBS definition, which is a species whose introduction and/or spread by human action outside their natural distribution threatens biological diversity, food security, and human health and well-being. Alien refers to the species having been introduced outside its natural distribution. Invasive means tending to expand into and modify ecosystems to which it has been introduced. Thus, a species may be alien without being invasive, or in the case of a species native to a region, it may increase and become invasive without actually being an alien species. So it's a complex concept, and it's currently being debated actively, the terminology and the use of language in terms of how we perceive these species in ecology and conservation circles. But for the purposes of this presentation, this is the definition that I will be using. So just to show you some numbers about impacts of these species from a very recently published global database, also put out by the IPBS. In terms of impacts on nature, which means on native species and natural ecosystems, you can see that the records for invasive plants in India are overwhelmingly negative. In terms of magnitude, you see that there are some records where they have decreased individual native plants' growth and performance. There are many records where studies have shown reduced population sizes of native species. And there are even some records from India where native species, plant species, have gone locally extinct. So these species can be a threat. In terms of ecosystem services, or what the IPBS calls nature's contributions to people, again, you see overwhelmingly, again, 69% of the impacts are negative. Primarily negatively impacted food provision and feed provision for livestock, habitat formation for people and wildlife, livelihood materials, things like NTFPs, hydrological services, regulation of freshwater flows, and other ecosystem services, things like pollination, pest control, and so on, are also negatively impacted according to this database. Finally, impacts on human well-being. Again, majority are negative. And here we're talking about things like health, safety, even cultural identities, and so on. So, and this is, just keep in mind that this is just plants, but you have a similar proportion of negative and positive impacts if you look across other taxa as well, especially vertebrates. So coming to the Nilgiris, my work has been, primarily in this western part of the region. This is a land cover map published by the French Institute. And the red squares show you where my sampling was done. So the black squiggly line is the 1,800 meter contour. So I sampled above that elevation. Just to give you a sense of the fact that there are multiple invasive species present in this region, Professor Sukumar mentioned some of these. Acacia myeonzai or black wattle, gorse, and Scotch broom are major invasives of the grasslands, whereas Cestrum, lantana, and Ageratum can be found, especially Cestrum in the lantanas as well as lantana. Cestrum in the sholas as well as lantana. And Ageratum is found in most cover types. So as I mentioned, my work was trying to understand the factors that shape Shola tree communities. And what I wanted to point out here is, of course, I found that climate and topography and the interactions are important, as well as soil. But what I really wanted to show here is that in my model, landscape context contributed an additional explanatory power to the model. So whether the shola is surrounded by native grassland, wattle, or tea plantation seems to have an impact after you consider all the other abiotic factors that might influence these communities. So digging a little deeper into this, I found that sholas surrounded by grassland had a different stand structure and species dominance pattern compared to water sholas. They also had lower levels of regeneration. What I've shown here is saplings, but this was also the case for seedlings. This is in comparison to grass sholas. And finally, in the case of tea sholas, I found high abundances of cestrum or antiacum, which is an invasive shrub. So this is, of course, you are all familiar with this plant. Bought in as an ornamental because of the pretty flowers. The fruits are known to be toxic to livestock. That's what a shola understory looks like when it's invaded by cestrum. Um, this is probably the most important piece of the finding that I had from my data, which is between 0 to 2 kilometers from a T edge. The probability of cestrum was quite high and it fell as you moved away from a T edge. And beyond 2 kilometers, it fell to zero. Now, I should mention here that this data is about 12 years old. And I returned to do some more fieldwork for my postdoctoral studies. And I found that this plant has really exploded across the region that I had previously worked in. So something has really changed in the last 10 years where this cestrum has really expanded and the intensity of the invasion has increased. So I also found that cestrum abundance is positively related at a local scale to, at a larger spatial scale to temperature seasonality, which is the difference between the warm summer months as well as the winter months, and negatively related to annual precipitation. And at a more local habitat scale, you find more cestrum at the edges. And within the shola, along the stream channels, there's less cestrum abundance. In terms of impacts, what my data showed is that the abundance of native shrubs was significantly negatively related to cestrum abundance. And shola tree seedling abundance was also negatively related to cestrum abundance. So here you can see these are typical endemic understory shola natives, lazy species and Psychotria species. This is just to give you an idea of how bad it can get. That's what a normal shola understory looks like, as you know. And this is kind of like a worst case scenario where in this plot, I couldn't find anything other than cestrum in the understory. So just to summarize, so in terms of sholas that occur in and near tea estates, I found there's a lot of variation in the way estates are managed across the plateau. And in estates where they strictly follow best practices and they have certifications for ecological sustainability and fair trade and so on, while they had cestrum on the estate, it hadn't actually gone into the sholas. So it seems that tea estate management can make a difference. In terms of the more natural habitats, what I think would be good is you all may have seen the T.N. Piper document, the policy on invasive species management, which is truly a remarkable document and the first of its kind for a state in India. Now, that document again emphasizes a species-based approach to managing, whereas I think we also need to think systematically. Here you have a biphasic mosaic where you have very discrete patches of grass and forest co-occurring in the same climatic regime. And you have multiple invasives occurring across both. So here you have a picture of a water clearing taken in 2024. And this picture was taken a few months after they cleared it. And as you all can see, cestrum has already moved in. And the impact of this is that it increases the propagule rain and therefore threatens neighboring shola patches. So we need to adopt a whole systems strategy when we think about managing these species. And of course, in the Nilgiris, we need interdepartmental and multi-stakeholder involvement for effective invasive plant management. And finally, something that has emerged from the work of my colleagues at ISO and HE on wattle invasion in the grasslands is that we really need to prioritize removal at the invading front. And we also need long-term monitoring so that, we know what's happening to areas that have been cleared and we can manage and adapt management accordingly. Thank you.